Hello everybody. I've got to say that twice because there's a lag between it starting up. So this is Robin and I'm Don. A couple of old blokes again. Some of you know us, some of you don't. Robin's done BOCs and three times. Three solo circumnavigations.
Yep, 3 times.
Yep, I've only done it once. I've been involved with the GGR a little bit longer than you.
Just a bit.
We're going to do this. He was going to do this one, but didn't have the boat finished. It's finished now. I'm going to do 22, and I'm hoping to sail in 22. So watch this space. Robin's actually sailing back to England soon, maybe end of next week, I think.
Well, the next week or two. We mustn't rush these things now.
So if we do this in the future after, we'll do some more next week, but it might be by Skype or something. We'll see if the technology can allow it. Otherwise, we'll have to wait and see. So for this one, there's no set subject. This is going to be a talk about anything and anything. And Robin doesn't know anything about what I've put down here, but I thought I'd get down to the nitty-gritty and ask some hard questions. But before we do, Loic is going to arrive in the Canaries on the weekend. That's kind of cool.
Yep.
Back after his leisurely cruise on the big ship, eating lots of food with the Philippine crew. And I wrote a piece this week about everyone coming back for 22.
Right.
You're back for 22.
Absolutely.
Interesting subject, eh?
Yep, very interesting.
Because Ertran's coming back. Erton's here. He rang me out of the blue. Well, no, he didn't ring. He sent him an email out of the blue, and I was so excited to see him come back. What's your attitude on that? Like Erton coming back, for instance?
Oh, I think Erton coming back will be great news for the race. Erton, he was the last person to sign up for the last race. He didn't have a lot of time to get ready. He's now got 3 years or 4 years now to really put his act together, and I believe he can do it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was from our perspective, being the organiser, we actually haven't spoken on the phone or anything since he retired. He was the first one out of the race after a few days, just going across the Bay of Biscay. And I think it really surprised and shocked a few people. Same with me. I was shocked at the reality of him retiring. But then, literally within hours, you started to think about it, and I could see where he came from. And having been involved from an organisation side as well as a sailing experience and so on, I can understand where he came from. So it's very psychosymptomatic of everything about the GGR. The whole thing of when you hear about it the first time, oh, I've got to do it, you know. There's a lot of passion involved, there's a lot of emotion involved, there's physical work, there's sailing, there's preparation, there's the whole mix, you know, that whole thing. So I was really excited to hear that he's back. We'd spoken to his wife.
Here's one of the things about when people come back, and this isn't just Erton, this is, I've walked away and said, never again. And then you start to think about it and put it back into perspective, and you think,
Yep.
No, we've got to go again. We've got to give it another go. We've got to try again, you know. And so I can see that Erton walked away feeling, you know, gosh, he just wasn't ready and he just wasn't right. And, you know, and then he starts to think, hey, 4 years, I can put all this together in 4 years and have a really good entry. And I believe that's what he'll do.
Absolutely, and that's one of the essence of adventure. Even, you know, the little voices start talking. You know, it hits me when you do an adventure. It could be anything, and it's all over, and you sort of dwell on it a little bit, and it feels really not euphoric, but you enjoy the fact you've achieved it, but you're already thinking of what's next. You know, and you're a case of that one. You're a bit bloody psyched out on the whole issue because. Tell me, why did you do it second time? Why did you do the BOC a second time? What's your feeling?
It was no different to the first time.
But why?
I wanted to do it.
Same again.
I wanted to, but I wanted to do it a little quicker, and I had hoped to, have a sponsored faster boat, a bigger boat, but I ended up using the same boat that I used the first time.
We should have a name for that. We'll call it the Suhaili syndrome. You know, Robin wanted a bigger boat for the original Golden Globe and never got it, so went with Suhaili. You wanted a boat for the, you know.
Everybody wants a bigger boat, and now all of a sudden, you know, you see like Jean-Luc, he's had big boats, fast boats. Now he's come back to a small boat, and you know, I'm totally happy with my smaller boat now.
Yeah, interesting.
It's fine. It's even though it's a smaller boat, it's a slower boat, but it's still a boat. It's a sailboat, and you know, your whole object really is to how can you get the best out of the boat you've got.
Actually, you're jumping ahead of my questions here.
I am.
You didn't even know what's here.
No.
Because that sort of brings into the whole thing about, why, from your perspective, I mean, you did it a third time in a bigger boat, right? Still didn't, no one ever gets the right amount of money, but you went anyway. Now with the GGR, how would you split the reason for you wanting to do this event, this Gold Globe race in a smaller boat? What was it the money, as in it's a lot less money, or was it because you like the type of the boats, or was it because you like the lack of technology, or what was your essence? Why?
Well, one, I really do want to do a trip around the world with no stops. So one was to do a non-stop, because I've done it 3 times with stops. So that's a big deal. The other big deal was, looking at the GGR, and I'm thinking, my satellite, my navigation skills with the sextant are just as good as anybody else's, or they should be.
Yeah.
My skills, at weather forecasting without all this weather routing and computers and technologies, are just as good as anybody else's, or they should be.
Yeah. My
seamanship, which is really what this boils down to, are as good as anybody else's, or they should be.
Yeah.
Hey, why can't I have a good race? Why can't I have a competitive race?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm a bit similar in that I only done one, but it wasn't non-stop. That's always that's where the dream originally comes from. So that was part of my drive. Second one was that, I didn't do this one. I wanted to. It's because it was cheaper. Like, you didn't need big bucks. It was affordable. On the weather front, exactly the same. In fact, one thing, just changing the subject, when I did the BOC in 1990, fast boat, anything you want, GPS had only just come out in those days, and I had one, but I lived with my barograph. I lived every day of the race, especially through the Southern Ocean, just with the barograph, watching the rising and the falling, the wind direction, and I could work out exactly what's happening, all the time. But there's not a lot of that going on in the GGR at the moment. It's quite interesting. The weather forecasting is so good that I don't get the sense that they're trying to develop a lot of stuff on board themselves. There's only a few that have got barographs.
I get no sense of it really at the moment. I never had a barograph, but I would obviously look at my barometer and give it a couple of taps every few hours just to make sure I knew exactly what it was doing and exactly what rate it was falling. Yeah,
okay. Change the subject again. You can't see it, but we've got a fantastic whiteboard up here. It's really good. On one side, we've got the name of all the current entrants and previous entrants of the GGR, as in 2018 edition. Then we've got names of people. I'm up there, Christoph's up there, Celine's up there, you're up there, and we've put odds on who's coming back for 22. Now, are you too bold to say who you think? It's interesting, eh? What about Nabil? We haven't heard much at all from Nabil. We don't know where his boat is.
I have no clue. My sense maybe is that he probably wouldn't. He put out a tweet that sailing is better with friends than,
I didn't see that. It was a recent one,
on his own. No, it was a while back when he quit. So. I don't sense.
We've got to keep it short, otherwise we'll use up too much time. Yeah. But I don't know. I reckon he might be back. He was flying a big flag, big Palestinian flag there.
Maybe.
So anyway, Antoine, what do you reckon's going on there?
Hey, I really don't know. I talked to Antoine when he was here in the office a few weeks ago. At the time, Jean-Luc was in Hobart, and Antoine, like a lot of people, and a lot of us find that what we think sailing around the world is like and what it actually is like are two very different things. And
I don't know whether he'll come back either, because I know he's disappointed in the boat and a few other things, but that one's a bit hard. Ari, that's easy, he's back.
Ari certainly says he's coming back, and Ari's got lots of experience, and he will genuinely want to come back and actually do it and get all the way round. He's
there. Next one, this is really interesting, and we can talk about him and he can't even hear us what we're saying. Tapio, I reckon he'll be back, because he's so disappointed. They're so disappointed with engine, but barnacles, all these problems he's had. He's a great guy, great sailor, and he's got a beautiful boat that when it's over, he's going to sit there and look at it again and think, I reckon he'll be back, and he'll be back firing. He's got the sea miles, he'll have everything working, and he'll really enjoy it again.
He'll come back to really enjoy the race.
Exactly.
I feel he might well come back.
Yeah, I reckon he will. Istvan, he's already said, no way, never again, that's it. But as his wife says, he's done it. That's what he said the first time.
Well, this funny thing, you mention Istvan and you mention Tapio, and when you listen to Istvan, he seems to make such a big deal, and I understand how we all moan about our situations. and he does,
Yeah.
and you take Tapio in his situation, which is just as bad, if not worse, than Esteban's, because of all the things that have gone wrong and the things he's contended with and handled and so on.
Yeah.
And he doesn't moan.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the colour of the race.
That's
Everyone's
the colour,
different, you know.
everybody's
all
got
these
a different,
amazing characters.
yeah.
You look at Jean-Luc. I mean, he has problems. He doesn't talk about them, so everyone thinks he doesn't have problems.
No,
you know? It's funny,
no. You don't sail around the world without having a lot of things go wrong and a lot of things that you fix and keep going, and you learn to live with and accept.
Okay, Mark Sinclair. He's going to come back because he wants to race next time.
Mark will come. Yeah, I could see Mark coming back just for the fun of doing it.
So can I. In fact, he's already given a bit of hint off the record. But anyway, don't tell his wife apparently.
No.
Gregor.
I would have thought Gregor would be back. I mean, Gregor did a terrifically good job, and he must be wondering, wow, if that mass hadn't come down, where would I be now?
Yeah. Well, I think the thing that will stop him coming back, he's got a really good sponsor and he's prepared to go again or back him, and he's got a good team manager and team, and I think he's got his eye on the Bondi. But if he doesn't pull up with the Bondi, I reckon he might be back. Let's see what happens.
I think he could wait.
Okay, Gregor, we've got Tommy. Ugh.
I would have thought Tommy would love to come back and do it and complete it.
All I'll say is I agree entirely, Robin, but let's wait and see what happens. He's got a wife and some new news later on. And,
this is true.
You know, anyway, but she's lovely as well, don't get me wrong. Well, there's some other... who else we got? Francesco.
I would have thought Francesco would come back. You know, he's got a decent boat. He's really got the time to sort it out.
Yeah.
He really does love the ocean, I'm sure. He loves to sail.
Yeah.
I think he will come in to do a good race.
Yeah, Uku?
Well, I don't know.
I think he's over. Because he's got two little baby boys under warranty.
Yeah, Uku, hopefully, touch wood, you know, will get round and get to the finish. And, you know...
I think he'll be very satisfied then.
He'll be very satisfied.
Brand new kids, I think he'll be there. Yeah. Jean-Luc.
No, I don't think Jean-Luc will be back.
I think you're right. We'll leave it at that. He's such a young man. And Susie.
Gosh, I really have no clue.
Neither do I. I can't pick it.
I wouldn't be at all surprised if she didn't come back. But, you know, Susie, when she gets to the race, the end of the race, there may be other good opportunities for her and she'll go and pursue those.
Yeah, exactly. And what about Igor? I got no idea on that one.
I wouldn't know.
It's a bit sad, eh? I feel a bit sorry for Igor. He's a great sailor and his bloody boat was okay.
You know, Igor sailed down the Atlantic so darn well, and when you look at the position of all the boats before Cape Town and where Igor was, it's been such a slow progression ever since then that I guess maybe his time's up.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I feel sorry for him. It's very hard to communicate because of the language issues, but I got a feeling his barnacles are beyond belief. I think it's all over the boat, and they're all getting this long now, and he's just dragging this broom through the water.
Oh, I can well see them being literally this big. I mean, unbelievable.
He sounds good on the phone, and we've got he and I can talk like 30% or something, and he sounds still bright and bubbly and this and that. He's done the barnacles, unbelievable, growing flowers, you know.
Yeah. But he's a bit like Tapio, where he's got such a positive outlook, even though you know he's not in a particularly positive situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've lost track of time. What's our timeline, Jackie?
30 minutes.
How much?
13 minutes.
13. Oh, that's okay. Oh, we've got plenty of time for questions.
Keep going.
Okay. Okay, so a couple of interesting subjects I've got here. We've got, in fact, Patrice, our previous race director, mentioned today, we're just on emails talking about stuff, and he said, you know, one of the big questions that some are asking now, how to get a 35-foot boat through the storms without risking serious problems. You know, like so the feeling is that because the boat is sort of 35 feet long, or on average, how are we going to get them through without serious problems? And it's an interesting subject. You know, I've got my opinions. You know, basically I think, well, you know, any boat you can have problems getting through the Southern Ocean, and obviously a smaller boat's going slower. That means you're exposed for longer.
Yes.
You're down there for longer.
More storms.
And you basically can't run away from them. And when you're in them, a little boat, it's more challenges. But I think the essence of it is it's not unsafe. That's the bottom line. You're exposed to more, but that's like saying, should we be down there or shouldn't we? In fact, that's not the angle of the question. But my reality is this, that you can make a smaller boat as safe as you possibly can, and it's perfectly okay to go down there and give it a go. I mean, I know plenty of people have been through there, solo, non-stop, in boats half this size, and displacement.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
and over the years, Lively Lady, that was Alec Rose's boat.
Yep.
That was no bigger. That was
Vito Dumas down there through the middle of winter.
That was in 1943.
Yep.
In the middle of winter.
Yeah.
So, Pete Goss took his recreated Mystery of Cornwall boat.
That was a classic little boat.
A few, not that many years ago.
Yeah.
There are any number of small boats that have done this voyage very, very safely, and I think it's just up to us to have really prepared our boats to meet, the challenges and the storms.
Yeah.
And to have prepared ourselves and actually gone out probably in the ocean and sailed in some storm conditions to find out how we manage and handle our boats.
Yeah, I agree. I think obviously bigger boats are going to be safer potentially for numerous reasons, right? But it doesn't make this style of boat unsafe.
No,
It's confusing the issue. So it's all about risk mitigation and having good people, all that sort of stuff. So I think that's fair enough. Let's another subject. Boats of similar size, say from 32 to 40 feet. Let's say even now this size. Would you prefer to be in a traditional style boat that we have now, long keel, outboard, rudder connected to the trailing edge and stuff, or in a 35-foot modern fin keel boat, not a radical one, just a conventional fin keel boat with a skeg rudder sort of thing, modern ocean-going cruising boat? Which one would you prefer to be in?
I couldn't give you an honest answer to that until I've done the race with the one I've got, which is the long keel. I've done it with the fin and skegs, and I had no problems, or I say I had no problems. I was very happy with that, but I feel I'm going to be very happy with what I've got, which is the long keel, the heavier boat.
Yeah,
I don't see a problem.
Yeah, my attitude's the same. I mean, I haven't done it in either of them. Mine was 50-footer, a really nice boat. But, I know plenty have gone around in SNS34s and other small boats similar. I think they're both relevant. They're both relative. I don't think it's got a big difference. I think the reason that we chose the boats that we've got now for the GGR was not because I thought they were the safest boats, right? It's just that they were similar to Suhaili. They're solid. So from an organiser's point of view, we know that you can refit them reasonably well. The keels aren't going to fall off. The rudders shouldn't fall off, touch wood, things like that. It was easier. Right. I know they're wholesome boats. I just used the model, which was the Tradewind 35, and thought, wow, I would have no hesitation sailing that boat solo around the world. So, not saying anyone else is worse or better, but it's another one we come up to. What do you? Christoph and I were talking this morning because Istvan went through the no-go zone, got a penalty. It's only a nominal one. I don't think Istvan's going to be worried about 6 hours around the world. So the no-go zones are relevant because they're trying to keep the boats out of the worst of the weather. Keep them up into a zone which is more achievable for rescue assets, if someone has to be pulled out, and also keep them away from ice. But so I'm quite comfortable with them. Christoph was wondering, some people are saying, maybe one's too high or too low. How do you think the position of our zones are?
Do you really want to know?
Yeah, you don't want them. No?
I don't want them.
Yeah, okay.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Hey, I accept that, going down to 56, 60 degrees south may seem a bit extreme now, and from the safety point of view, keeping us further north keeps us within the range of rescue, services. But when you actually look, and this is my view, at the weather that they've had between South Africa and Australia coming across, it was predominantly calms and light winds.
Yeah. And
when you look at Jean-Luc's passage and look at Mark Slat's passage all the way across the zone from the Pacific, it's been lighter winds and calms.
Yeah.
But to bring, Personally, I think we should probably be at 45 degrees south in the Indian Ocean, in other words, coming north of Kerguelen.
Yeah.
And I think we should probably be towards more like 50 south after New Zealand, and that gets us in nicely for Cape Horn.
What'll end up happening, we were on 44, you're saying 45. We picked it up because we got there earlier than we thought. So in 22 it'll come back down to 44. So we're only 60 miles out of where you want to be.
Yeah.
And on the other side it'll probably stay as it is now. Remembering that we're on 46 now, the Vendée Globe is at 42.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, it was 42.
I should be interested to see what they are actually at.
Because they're all worried about who knows, they review it every year and all that stuff, but it was all about ice and hitting things. So anyway, but it's a necessary evil, and we relax it too. If there's a big storm there and we have to let them go through the zone, we let them do that without penalty. But if it's just normal sailing, we keep them up there. Okay, simple answers. Which is the most important to winning the GGR or doing well in the GGR? The skipper, the preparation, or the design of the boat? Which is number one? Just short answer. Don't give explanations. The skipper, the boat, or the preparation?
I think I would have to say the skipper, because I think at the end of the day, if you put Jean-Luc in any of those other boats, as long as he was the one who was doing the preparing of any of those.
Oh, hang on, now
boats.
you're crossing over.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, yes, you are.
It's still down to Jean-Luc.
That's like saying, because the skipper will pick the best boat, too.
No, no, you could give him any of those boats and he would make them competitive and he would sail it competitively.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's hard to pull one out, because you could say, if I was to say it's the preparation, then you say, then you've got a dud skipper and it doesn't work anyway. And then it comes to the boat.
The preparation of the boat is a reflection on the skipper.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. That's why it's hard to pull them apart. But I still get hung up. Yeah, everyone's getting hung up on Russell 36. Now, first of all, I like Russell 36. They're a beautiful boat. I know the builder. They built so well. They're fantastic, this, that, and the other. But I think there's more to it than that. It's not just the design of the boat. That's sort of one of the lead-ins. So if you're thinking about doing the GGR, don't just choose a Rustler because everyone else has got a Rustler. We want to see other boats too. Remember, Tommy and Gregor were both in front of a Rustler.
Yep, they did terrific jobs with those boats, and those boats are obviously were clearly as good as the Rustlers.
Absolutely, but I like Rustlers.
Right up there.
I like Rustlers; they're good. Okay, so interesting one. Speaking to Peter at Wind Pilot, or you're looking at his latest blog and stuff, he brought up the issue about brake tubes, and I agree on this one. The brake tubes on monitors and Aries, which are a breakaway coupling, if they go in the wrong time, big problem. Susie ended up hand steering. Uku, Ra ended up going bottom up when he was fixing his tube. We discussed this. Just a simple answer. I don't know where it goes. You got to have them.
Yes.
You've got to have them. The Wind Pilot uses the rudder goes out to the extreme. I can't quite fathom that because the steering lines would stop it going anyway.
Right.
But what's your comment on that? What do you think? What do you like? Is it like on the hydrovac? You've got three lots. The Wind Pilot goes around on a large angle. The Aries and the Monitor have got a brake tube. I don't think, for instance, now, and I'm not criticising any wind vane right this moment. We're just talking about the issues. I don't think Mark Slats with his Aries has actually broken a tube yet. I don't think Mark Sinclair has either. I'm not sure about that. Monitor's broken heaps. On the hydrovane, there's a little pin that holds the rudder. That pin is actually secondary because it's only used if you want to really take your rudder off in a marina. You just pull the pin out and take it off. So Jean-Luc put a bolt there, but his bolt broke. So he's replaced it. I don't know. I see the brake tube as being a potential problem because when it goes, it's hard to replace, and it might be something that's going a bit more than it should.
It may appear to be that way, and I've got to go out in the ocean and actually sail and find out what it's doing.
Yeah.
But the one thing I probably will do is look at the methodology of changing out that tube in such a way that it becomes a much really easier and faster and quicker thing to do.
Yeah.
by the time I get to
It's
the
probably
race
unfair
start.
to make that statement because you've actually got them on it. But anyway,
I have,
and I don't know what to say about it. I'm probably just agreeing. It's one of the points of a servo pendulum system that's an issue. I don't believe it's such an issue on the hydrovane. It might not be such an issue on the wind pilot either. But we don't even talk about the Fleming. The Fleming's a really good wind vane,
right.
and it's got a brake system as well.
But you know, when we get to the end of the race and we can really look at and speak to the people who have actually gone around with the various vanes, I think we'll then start to get a better picture of what really could work or doesn't work or does work. So to speak.
Short answers: yes or no. Drogue. This is not carrying it; it's using it. Would you use one?
Using it. At the moment, no.
Yeah, same for me. No. Warps.
Yes.
Yeah, same for me. Yes. Hove to.
No.
I'm the same. Never hove to. Layer hull.
No.
Same for me. Never layer hull. Run before it with nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. There you go. Welcome. Good luck. Good job. Yeah, I think there's some big issues there.
Yes, so do I.
And people are asking for opinion. My opinion is you should never hove to in the Southern Ocean.
Not at that level of storm. No.
And you should never lay a hull in the Southern Ocean.
Not in that level of storm.
You can't afford to do it. You've got to fight hard. I've got to say, I say this in the context of I've never done it, I've never been there, things like that, but people out there are looking for opinions, and they're opinions that I'm picking up from years of looking at this stuff. So anyway, okay, and at the back, barnacles. What are you going to do for barnacles? So I've got to... The facts are starting to say the barnacles are worse than it's ever been before. In terms of maybe it's climate change. Maybe there's something happening with the currents or something like that. I don't know.
I know. I don't feel that's the case. I think people haven't done their homework correctly and done their preparation correctly because you look at something like the Vendée Globe. They've gone around so fast they haven't got time for the barnacles to grow.
I could never hit them at that speed.
You look at when we did the BOC races. We had stops so we could clean our boats and tidy up our underwaters and get them in good shape. So we never had a great barnacle problems or even any barnacle problems really.
Yeah.
So, but when I sailed down to Cape Town back in 1980 and then back to England, I grew barnacles.
Yeah.
And I swore, well, I'm never having barnacles again. And I go to great lengths now to keep a very clean bottom.
Deodorant usually works,
Yeah.
Well. Okay, yeah, I don't know. I think you're right. There'll be a lot more attention paid to anti-fouling next time. I'm wondering whether copper coat will work. That's pretty good stuff, but I don't know.
It's got to be one of the options to consider.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe, yes, definitely.
But anyway, but I'm still thinking. I'm still thinking it might be getting a bit worse. But anyway, we don't know. It's speculative. Okay, why aren't there any more women in the GGR?
Why aren't there any more women?
I'm getting hammered. I've got to be so careful now. Don't you say the wrong thing about women.
Dear.
Right? We all love women. They're integral to life and all that stuff. Do you know, here's a little known fact. I offered to sponsor a young lady in this GGR. I offered to provide the boat, all the other bits and pieces. I'm a big supporter of women in sailing.
Yeah, you have been
and so anyway,
a big supporter.
But there was amazing
Aussie sailors.
But it was interesting. I offered this sailor, a really good sailor, the chance to do the race, and to her credit, even though I believe it was quite a good offer. I was going to let her use my boat instead of sell it and all that stuff. She said no because she wanted to go on to bigger and better things. I thought she was really quite. I respected her for that decision. But nonetheless, why aren't there more women solo sailing? I think there was 5 or 6 in the Rue de Rhum, in the Rum Road.
Yes.
There's been a few in the Vendée. We see local events here.
There are some in the Vendée right now. In the next Vendée coming up.
Yeah.
So it's really truly up to them to decide they want to do it.
Yeah.
I think that is the bottom line.
I agree. Because the reason I'm bringing this up because I got hammered recently in post because the GGR's not out there finding women to do the race, and it doesn't work like that.
It's not the GGR's job to go out and find anybody, whether it's male or female. It's up to GGR to put out the rules.
Absolutely.
And this is the deal.
Yep.
And anybody who wants to sign up can.
Yep.
And I think the opportunity is there for women. I mean, Why is Susie there? Because she wanted to do it. She had the passion, and
Yeah.
she went out and actually, put it all together.
How good, Susie. This last phone conversation I had, a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I was talking to a competent sailor, an excellent skipper, an amazing sea-going, ocean-going person. She was just so on the ball, and she always reminds me of something every time I talk to her. And that one was all about, wow, she's just so competent. She's as good as it gets. She's amazing. Not just because she's a woman, because she is who she is,
Well, she's in the position she is, right up there with Yuko, fighting for third place, and that's a terrifically good, place to be.
Yeah. Okay. So another interesting thing came up. I've had a few people saying, this event's bloody stupid. The GGR. You've got all these stupid boats and all this sort of stuff. And they were saying, it should be open to any size boat, any design boat, all that sort of stuff. It's a great idea, and it would be potentially an interesting race. But I'm not going to organise it. And I can tell you why in a minute. But I'm just interested. Say you had a race of boats like a GGR type event. And it goes from, say, 32 feet to 40 feet.
Yeah.
With any design boat, what do you reckon would happen? Like any boat, you're right, 32 to 40 foot.
Well, everybody's going to go for a 40-footer, and they're going to go for the lightest and fastest 40-footer, and then it will become a technology race.
Yeah, exactly. That's one part of it. The other one is Jimmy Cornell, who's sort of he organised lots of things. He organised an around the world race, and it was going really well. It was open to any size boat. This is a race, right, that he planned to do. And he was swamped with entries, like 200 entries. But he shut the event down because it got too confusing. Because there was all these different types of boats. You couldn't have a race. And one of the reasons, because you got 2 minutes, how do you make it work?
Well, if you're going to have a race, you've got to have an equaliser.
That's
Something
right. There's
has
got to be something there.
That's
exactly right, and that's the reason why we came up with the concept that we did. With the GGR, and I'm comfortable. I think we've got good, safe boats. I think there's enough competition there. It's absolutely insane that we're now spread halfway around the world. We never expected that.
No,
but,
well, you say that. At the end of the day, when you actually look at it and look at the lead up to the race. How long is it going to take? We thought round about 240 days.
Yeah.
Well, where's Susie and where's Yuku?
Yeah.
Round about 240 days.
True.
Did we expect somebody to be faster? Absolutely. I thought, 220 might be, a good possibility.
Yeah.
Where's Jean-Luc and Mark Slats? They're going to be round about 220. We always thought that somebody could be even 300.
Yeah.
Well, you step back to, nearly, if you go to 300, you're almost back to where Igor and Mark Sinclair are. They are a bit slower, without a doubt, than most of us thought was possible.
Yeah.
But even you look at their progress down the Atlantic was very reasonable at a slow level.
Yeah.
But now it's got even slower.
Yeah.
So that's where the anomaly is, not at the front of the in the middle of the fleet.
Anyway, next time round, the only change is there's another class, a Joshua class, and pretty much everything else is still the same. But before we go, a lot of people, I'm getting heaps of people saying, wow, they're loving the GGR, we're doing a great job, we've got a small team, all that sort of stuff, and what can they do to help and all those sorts of things. We're actually going to open the shop soon. So that's one way. If you want to get a hat and a t-shirt and stuff like that, that's cool. But remember our little Citran teddy bears. Citran is our chosen charity. It's all about motor neurone disease, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and so on. They're a great organisation. It's a world centre of excellence for research into this. And if you want to help us, just get onto our charity on the GGR website. There is a Just Giving page there where you can just, if you want to give £10, £5, £2, cup of coffee, whatever you want, you can get on that site and go for it. And also all the entrants have got these bears, and we're going to talk about that in the last part of the race, where if you want to get Jean-Luc's Citran bear, you can. All the money goes to Citran and a few other things as well. So if you want to say thanks to the GGR, just get into Citran and put something down, give them a hand.
So we get these bears in 2022?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I'm going to have 4 bears on the boat.
Why are you going to have 4?
Because I've already got 3.
How come you got 3?
Well, I've all my trips around the world, I've had a Paddington bear.
Oh, well, hang on a minute. That comes down to, that's another thing, because Jean-Luc has always had a bear.
Yeah.
It was a girl bear. He's now got a boy Citran bear, so there's
Yeah.
something happening there. 9 months was just enough for something to happen.
All right,
Now,
well-
it's not going to be fair. Are your three
No.
all boys or all girls?
I've never asked them.
Okay, well,
It doesn't.
in this day and age, that's a good thing because they could be that way, this way.
The Paddington bear
Yeah.
came from Longmeadow Elementary School. This is in Rochester Hills
Okay.
near Detroit.
Yeah.
And then I already had, I call it a white bum bear because it's got a white tail.
That's enough of that.
So that was the white bum bear. And I've got a brown bear. So I've got these 3 bears.
I
that
can hardly
hang-
bear this conversation. I think we need to go.
I think we do.
Okay, that's it. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.